This is the Thunder Update from the Peak, brought to you by Bob Moore Ford. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Anthony Slater. The Thunder has evened this Western Conference Finals against the Spurs with a 105-92 victory in Game 4. We have to start with Russell Westbrook. 40 points, just an amazing performance by him, maybe one of his best, and we've seen a lot of good ones these playoffs.
Maybe his best ever. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't even know if it is a limb, but I think that was his best performance ever. Down 2-1 in the Western Conference Finals against a Spurs team that had looked so dominant in the past, and he goes for 40 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, or 5 steals, I think. I can't even keep track of it anymore. But there's a stat floating out there. He's the only guy since 1989 besides Michael Jordan to do it. Pretty good company. Was great tonight. Really dominated his point guard matchup. Dominated the game. The reason why they won.
Well, we saw him basically assert himself as the best point guard in that series against Memphis, against Mike Conley. Then he did the same against Chris Paul in that series against the Clippers. Now he's doing it again against Tony Parker, sort of knocking down other guys that are considered to be among the top point guards on the planet. He just keeps doing it. And really impressive all the way around, and what he did on Tony Parker was pretty big tonight, as was the entire defensive performance. Spurs with just a ton of turnovers tonight. They really kind of seemed to lose their way on the offensive end.
Yeah, and it's kind of all come with the return of Serge Ibaka, the return of that shot-blocking threat. Greg Popovich even joked in postgame. They kept going at Ibaka. He kept blocking shots. You know, I need to pass out a picture of him on the bench. Hey, stop going at that guy. But he's not only, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum now because of what's happened, how he came back, but it's really allowed those perimeter people to, hey, we got that backline help now. You know, they can press up on the offensive players. Russell Westbrook, I think, was maybe the biggest beneficiary of it. He had those 5 steals. I mean, gambling in lanes because he knows what he has behind him. Turn the series, the athleticism, the physicality, it's really bothering the Spurs, and, you know, it's looking a little like 2012 again. We're going to hear that some the next few days.
Well, we heard it after Game 2 as the Spurs took a 2-0 lead. Now the Thunder evening things up like they did in 2012. Will they be able to continue? Talking about injuries, you got to at least give a nod to Reggie Jackson. He rolls an ankle pretty severely in the first quarter, or seemingly severely, and then comes back, plays sparingly in the second quarter, played more minutes in the third, but they're going to need him to play well. I mean, he's obviously helped them turn the page, and he seemed fine in the locker room afterwards, a little hobbled, but left the ice and the bandages at his locker. So he's a guy they're going to need healthy out there.
As a guy who's rolled his ankle many times playing basketball, that one looked like a bad one. And usually the next morning it's the worst pain of the time after rolling the ankle. But I could see, you know, I'm assuming he sprained his ankle a few times. I'm sure he'll gut it out. I would assume he'll play Game 5. But if he doesn't, you're right. I mean, he was the guy that quietly was a big reason why this series has turned as far as he's back in the starting lineup. He's providing offense. He's providing another playmaker. Where do the Thunder go? If he's out, do you start Jeremy Lamb, who, you know, he's been scoring well. He's back in the rotation, but, you know, defensively, you got to worry about him, especially in San Antonio, where you expect the Spurs to play better. So the Thunder are going to need Reggie Jackson.
Well, Reggie Jackson making a difference, as is Serge Ibaka in so many ways. We mentioned Westbrook's 40 points, but Kevin Durant also scores 31, goes 9 of 12 in the first half, really seems to recapture that shooting touch that had been missing for a few games, and really things kind of clicking for the Thunder on both ends. Now, as you say, this series goes back to San Antonio for Game 5, back on Spurs home court where they're so good, but can they get it turned back in their favor? What are they going to have to do to make that happen?
You know, play like games 1 and 2, but if the Thunder play like they did in 3 and 4, I think if both these teams are playing their peak with all their players there, the Thunder are probably going to win. So it's really about what can the Thunder keep playing like they are. And, you know, I think that depends on Reggie Jackson's health. It depends on the energy and effort they give. And if you look back, I mean, the pattern of 2 years ago, which we're going to keep talking about, that Game 5, they got a big effort from James Harden. Who's not there. So they're probably going to need a big effort from, I will say, a role player, but maybe like a Reggie Jackson type to steal a game in San Antonio.
All right, we'll be there. Be sure to come along with us, and be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.